Thanks for tuning in. I'm joined by my panelists JJ Beale and Sam Yarnell. Now let's jump right into Hofstra Baseball team. So guys, when you take a look at this team, in 5 of their last 6 games, they've only given up 5 or less runs, which has helped them get some success in the early part of the season. But I feel like sometimes when people think about the sport of baseball, they focus so much on the offensive weapons that a team has and how good their lineup is. That's all valid. You need a good offense to win, but on the other side of things, you obviously need a strong defense to hold your team down and make sure that you are winning a lot of those games. So how important has the Hofstra Pride's pitching roster been since the start of the season?
Well, Lewis, you look at this Hofstra Pride pitching rotation, and it really comes down to their big 3 in Jack Jett, Jimmy Joyce, and Ryan Rue. Jack Jett has been a stud this season, a .47 ERA, a .88 whip across 3 starts. He's got 19 strikeouts and 19.1 innings pitched. So he's averaging about the same as he did in 2019 when he had 42 strikeouts and 45.2 innings pitched. It's been great from Jack Jett, and Jimmy Joyce has been their real innings eater this year. He leads the team with 19.2 innings pitched. His command's been really good. He struck out 14 hitters, only walked 4. We saw in that complete game loss he had against Villanova, the only way that Villanova was able to score was off of 2 sacrifice flies, a ground out. So Jimmy Joyce is good about not letting up that big hit. He just has to work on not letting opposing hitters string together those small hits.
And you talk about the big 3, but you really want to see their whole staff. Their whole staff has a 3.10 ERA combined through the first 8 games, and that makes the offense's job so much easier because it takes all the stress off them. You know the pitching staff is going to show up, so you don't really have to do much that day. The bare minimum most of the time is going to get it done for this offense.
Yeah, so we've definitely liked what we've seen from the pitching rotation and the entire pitching staff for this Hofstra team. But on the other side of that argument, you can't deny how important a strong offense is. So I want to ask you guys, who on this Hofstra roster do you think is the best offensive player that they have?
It's got to be Austin Gauthier. He's the only qualified hitter with an average above 280, and his is 440. His OPS is sitting at 1601 right now. That's almost double Rob Weishire's, who's in second place. He leads the team in runs, hits, doubles, triples, home runs, total bases, and walks. Austin Gauthier's been seeing the ball really big at the plate this year.
Yeah, it looks like he's seeing a beach ball out there, so that's absolutely something that's key to this Hofstra offense going forward. But somebody that I'm looking at, kind of a lower key player, redshirt freshman Luke Napolitano. He has been absolutely crushing it all year. 7 RBIs against LaSalle. 7 RBIs. And once he gets the opportunity, he's going to prove to be huge, not only in Hofstra's success this year, but going forward as well.
Those 2 players have been so key for this Hofstra team. Like you mentioned, Austin Gauthier is a senior, so a leader for this team. You know, this team has hit 3 home runs in total, and 2 of them have come off his bat. So he's been an electric star. Like you said, the freshman on that team has been great as well. The Pride is going into a 4-game set against Sacred Heart. So what does the team need to do to make sure that they're successful?
I think they've really got to get the role players involved. They've got to get that production around Gauthier that we were just talking about. You look at guys like Alex Sika, Anthony D'Onofrio. These are guys who can definitely step it up at the plate, and if they do, it would be huge for the Pride. On defense, they've got to keep doing what they're doing. Their big 3 can definitely handle this Sacred Heart lineup. I think that they've just got to get the offense clicking a little bit more.
It's all about warming up those bats. As we move into spring, you know, the offense is tough in the Northeast. You have these colds, February's cold, March is cold. It's starting to warm up a little bit, and it's time to warm up those bats. Get the offense going, move runners over, and play good, solid offensive baseball.
And something to keep in mind about this Pride team is that they haven't played a home game yet this season. They play their first home games against Sacred Heart, like we said, in that 4-game set. So will playing at home help the Pride snap their 2-game losing streak and help them be a more confident team heading forward?
I mean, you look at baseball as a sport, and playing at home always helps. You're obviously given an advantage when you're the home team in baseball. I think it's got to help the Pride. And, you know, I think it's really going to help push them past Sacred Heart is having that home field advantage at University Field.
There's no place like home, and there's going to be no place like home for this Hofstra Pride team because you saw them, you know, they start out the season on the road, and that's tough, and they're not able to practice on their field until the past maybe 2 or 3 weeks because of the snow. The snow is finally melted, and the Hofstra is ready to get back into it.
And here's a big question that I have is, who do you guys think is the biggest threat for Hofstra in their conference?
I've got to say UNC Wilmington. They're a huge threat to me. They started their season sweeping VCU. They just split a 4-game series with Cincinnati. They've got 3 guys with OPSs above 920. Brooks Baldwin, he's already got 4 bombs on the year. They've really locked things down in Wilmington, and I think they're a huge threat to the Pride.
I want to stay in Hofstra's division and talk about the Northeastern Howland Huskies. They've been incredible so far to start the year. They have one of the best closers in all the CAA and Brandon Dufault. And I don't know if it's playing in Boston, maybe a little bit of the Red Sox magic rubs off on them. I don't know what it is, but Northeastern is always solid, and it's definitely a team to look out for if you're Hofstra.
And Sam, you mentioned UNCW. That was a team that stood out to me as being a huge competitor for the Pride. They've had 2 back-to-back amazing seasons, and now they start the season off at 7-3, which is impressive. Delaware is another team that I see that could be a competitor as well. They played 2 games. They haven't lost yet. It's a short season, but you never know what's going to happen. They could always be competition. Lastly, before we cut this segment off, looking at the Pride schedule for the remainder of the season, which is the toughest series or game that Hofstra has to play in?
I think it's definitely got to be this series that's coming up against Rhode Island. It's a 4-game series, a non-conference opponent, and this is a Rhode Island team that's really strong this year. I like Rhode Island a lot, and I think they're going to put up a big test for the Pride.
I'm sticking with my team, the Northeastern Huskies. They're going to be a strong team, and they're going to be tough competition throughout the year.
Yeah, when you look ahead in their schedule, they have 2 4-game sets against Delaware and then Northeastern just back-to-back. So, yeah, that can definitely be tough for this Hofstra team.